Welcome, everyone. Welcome to ThursdAI for February 12th. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with Weights and Biases from CoreWeave. ThursdAI is brought to you by Weights and Biases, and I'm really excited about today's show. I'm really excited about today's show. We have folks tuning in on YouTube, and we have our own Wolf from Raven Wolf over here, and Ryan Carson. What's up, guys? How are you guys doing?
Good to see everybody.
Good to see you guys.
Hi, what a week. So much cool stuff from China.
Open source is back. Open source is back with a vengeance, and we have so much new stuff to talk about, including the breaking news from MiniMax. MiniMax 2.5 just dropped, and literally 30 minutes before. And the thing that I will start the show with is that both companies will have representatives of theirs on the show today for us to interview live. So we're gonna welcome Lou from ZAI, formerly known as Jipu AI. We have Lou to talk to us about their release, and then we're gonna have the lead researcher on the MiniMax team, Olive Song, to join us also to talk about the drop that they had. Both models are competing with the previous Opus on benchmarks. This is insane, folks. Open source is catching up super quick. Open weights, these models are now live, and I'm very, very excited. So with that, I want to say hi to everybody who tunes in. I see a bunch of folks on Twitter Spaces, and Quinn and LinkedIn and Near. We have a bunch of folks on YouTube as well, and obviously you guys. So how has your week been? Let's talk about AI thing that happened, and then we can dive into the show while people kind of pick up.
I'll go first. Wolfram, good to see you. Alex, good to see you as always. So I shipped an open source project called Ant Farm just to kind of orchestrate agents on top of OpenClaw. People seem to like it. I'm going on Twist tomorrow to talk about it. So that was kind of what I was thinking a lot about, agent orchestration. Do you do it on top of OpenClaw? Do you do it somewhere else? Everything's changing so fast.
That's awesome. Wolfram, how you doing?
Oh, this is the week I've been, you know what I've been up to, doing evaluations left and right, and new models come out, and I'm so excited because I find so many interesting things, and soon we will be able to talk about these, so I'm looking forward to that. This week, my highlight, actually, when it came out as Pony Alpha, I tested this model in German, and I was a bit disappointed because in German it was very weak. But now that it is released and I tested it in English, I have to say, wow, amazing. I'm really impressed. I'm looking forward to talk more about how we can use it with some of the agentic tools that we have, but that will be a topic for another time. For now, my highlight of the week, GLM 5. And there are more highlights. It's hard to say, but right now, if I have to pick one, I will pick this.
Yeah, I heard that we're going to have 2 breaking news releases today. I didn't know about the open source models. I will just say, folks, we have our own weights and biases CoreWeave Inference, and we have day 0 support for GLM5, and we're going to work really, really hard to get you MiniMax 2.5 as well. So if you want a little bit of credits, I will point you to our main account, and I'm probably going to link this in the show below so that you'd be able to claim some credits, because top tier intelligence doesn't come cheap, but we're going to give it to you cheap. So for me, the absolute excitement of the week was, you know what? I'm not going to go with LLMs. You guys went with LLMs. I'm going to go with fucking Seedance that broke my brain this week. Just absolutely broke my brain. If your feed is not full of Seedance videos yet, it will be so very, very, very soon. ByteDance released an announcement today that Seedance is official, but also they pre-released Seedance on a bunch of their platforms. ByteDance, obviously, the folks who built TikTok. And they've trained it on everything. They literally, I'm pretty sure that our faces are in there, Ryan, Wolfram, like our faces are in there, but also every Hollywood movie, every Hollywood actor, every, there is a story about a Chinese influencer that like all he needed to do is put his face and say me saying something. It was like almost perfectly his voice, because they just literally trained on everything. It's really crazy. So I will say that Seedance is mine for sure. And
it was my second choice.
Yeah, it was your second choice?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, folks. So we're going to start with a quick TLDR, and then we're going to have a chance to chat with Lou from ZAI about GLM, and then we're going to continue with the show. With this, I want to just see if Yam is with us. Yam Peleg, what's up, man? How are you doing? Coming through with a little bit
pixelated,
a little pixelated, yeah, but we'll figure it out.
Usual. Crazy week.
Yeah, tell us about one thing in the world of AI that you're absolutely not going to miss.
My API bill has grown just a little bit this week. I don't know, twice, 3 times, but man, I'm finding the snacks at Anthropic's office like real good. I'm really funding their snacks, man. Seriously, I hope you get good food over there, guys.
Anthropics?
Seriously.
One news item
Oh,
that will mess
GLM.
up some
GLM. It must be GLM. There's no doubt. GLM for sure.
All right. And just because she's smiling, Lou here. Hey, Lou, welcome. We're going to do the TLDR, but as to Lou from ThursdAI, and we're going to chat with her very, very soon. But first, we're going to run through everything that we have to talk about on the show for this week in a corner called TLDR or TLDW. Too long didn't watch. I don't know, or didn't listen. So we're going to do the TLDR super quick because there's a bunch of stuff to talk about. And then we're going to be chatting with Lou.
Sure.
Alrighty, this is it. This is the TLDR. This is everything that happened in the world of AI that we're going to cover on this week's show, starting with the open source models, open source LLM, open source intelligence has been absolutely blowing up this week, following the crazy last week where we saw live on the show, we saw drops from OpenAI's new Codex model that's absolutely bonkers. We're going to continue today on the show. Your host is Alex Volkov, an AI evangelist with weights and biases. Of course, our co-hosts are Wolf from Raven Wolf, Jan Pelgas here, Ryan Carson, Nistin is going to come back, LDJ at some point. Our guest today is Lou from ThursdAI, and we have MiniMax folks as well, Olive Song from MiniMax. And of course, open source is absolutely dominating this week. Just domination across the board, folks. If last week was the week of the big labs, this week we're going to cover two major releases. One of them released just yesterday, one of them today. So GLM5 is the breakaway open source model of the week, just released yesterday, already up on Weights and Biases Inference, by the way, and we're going to tell you all about how to get it. GLM claims the open source coding crown with incredible performance. We're going to talk about all of this. The highlight there is Vending Bench, a very interesting benchmark about real world tasks, but there's a bunch of other ones. 744 billion parameters with only 40 billion active. We're going to mention everything, including the fact that they significantly updated the amount of training tokens that they use to train this model. Obviously, we have representatives of ThursdAI here on the show to talk to us about this. Following this, just 30 minutes ago, MiniMax released their updated MiniMax 2.5, which is, they claim, state-of-the-art at coding. We're going to compare between them. Swebench verified at 80%, 80.2%. Swebench verified is a very difficult benchmark for coding performance. And with 200,000 tokens in the context window. This model is absolutely a beast, and we're going to chat about that one as well very soon. Following this, we're going to talk about big companies and LLMs and APIs. There's a big drop of folks from XAI, Elon's company, following the acquisition of SpaceX. SpaceX acquired XAI. XAI previously acquired X. So now if you're tweeting, you're basically tweeting on a space company dime. But a bunch of co-founders of XAI announced their departure. It wasn't clear. And then Elon went on a whole spiel talking about the future of XAI in the space, plus restructuring. So we're going to talk about the restructuring there. Then Anthropic released a very interesting document for Cloud Opus 4.6, a sabotage risk report. And this model is like much more riskier. So we're going to talk about this a little bit as well. OpenAI upgraded their deep research to the 5 series. Deep research previously was based on 4 series. What the heck? Still, advanced voice mode is 4. But deep research now is 5 series with app integrations. Definitely worth checking out. In this week's Buzz, we have an announcement that we have put GLM5 Day 0 support on our Inference service. And plus, we also updated with Kimi K 2.5, which is also multimodal. So you'd be able to do all kinds of stuff with Inference, including run them to Cloud Code, OpenClaw, etc. And I think the big one, and I wish I was able to use this more than the 2 times, Seedance from ByteDance. Seedance 2 is, let me put my, Seedance 2 shatters reality limits to the way that the first Sora shattered reality limits when we saw it first time. Seedance 2 is a new video model, and it's just absolutely mind-bending in the character consistency and the physics and the sound. It's really like If you folks are tuning in on Twitter Spaces, you should tune in on the video channel when we get to the Seedance part, because it's just going to be like breaking your mind. The downside is, unless you have a Chinese phone number, it's really hard to use this model because they put it up and they took it away. But it was announced today. It supports 9 images as reference, plus 3 videos, plus 3 audio clips. Just absolutely bonkers model that shatters reality for us. So we're going to chat about Seedance a bunch as well. Folks from Quen launched in AI Art and Diffusion. Folks from Quen launched Quen Image 2. It's a 7 billion parameter image generation model. It's near SOTA, and it's really, really cool. Hard to launch image models now with Nano Banana Pro. I've been around for such a long time, but they did this anyway, and it's absolutely a great model with 7 billion parameters. In the tools, we're going to announce 2 things here, and we're going to probably talk about NFarm as well from our own Ryan Carson. But in the tools area, a new company raised a $60 million seed to build open source developer platform for AI agents, backed by the previous GitHub CEO, Thomas. And then Chrome launches something very interesting, WebMCP. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but definitely worth talking about that for the show. This is the TLDR. Folks, I know for a fact there's going to be more breaking news today. GLM 5 is finally here, folks. And I would love to introduce, first time on the show, Lou from ThursdAI. Lou, welcome to the show. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Alex.
Very, very late for you, right? So please introduce yourself. We're not going to take too much of your time, but please introduce yourself to the folks. And then we're going to dive into the release that you guys have.
Okay, so huge thanks to Alex for giving GLM this opportunity. I appreciate it. And I'm Lou, head of DevRel at ThursdAI. So GLM 5 was just released yesterday, and today I'm here to step away from the coding angle and try to talk about what agents can actually do for us right now. And along the way, we'll get a feel for what's new and improved in GLM 5.
Alrighty. First of all, thank you so much for joining. I know it's late and you guys have been through a release and it's like bonkers. Everybody's like using this model. It's great at coding. I had a chance to test it out on my OpenClaw instance. It's absolutely great. So I have a few questions for you. We're going to obviously talk about some evals, etc., but I have a few questions for you. We've talked about GLM since before you were ThursdAI, I think since GPU days. And I keep updating folks about like the new name, but I think it's time to just say ThursdAI. GLM 4.5 was definitely a great coding model. 4.7 beat that. What makes this one a whole major release update versus just a 4.8 or 4.9? What makes this 5?
So, first, the scale has increased a lot because we pushed the model's general intelligence to a higher level with much larger pre-training compute. Yeah, and then we introduced a brand new asynchronous reinforcement learning framework called SLIM. It largely improves the efficiency of post-training with RL, and plus we adopted a DeepSeek sparse attention mechanism. It preserves long context performance while dramatically reducing deployment costs. So if I had to sum it up in 4 words, I would say bigger, faster, better, and cheaper.
Bigger, faster, better, and cheaper. Choose all of them together. This is great. I want to talk about some of the evals and benchmarks that you guys are most proud of. So Humanity's Last Exam, you guys compare yourself to the previous GLM here. Folks who are not watching, we're looking at the evals chart here from ThursdAI themselves, and they have a bunch of comparisons to Claude Opus 4.5 and Gemini 3 Pro. There is a few benchmarks in which you guys are beating Gemini 3 Pro. Gemini 3 Pro is a huge model from Google, and yet there's an open weights model now with 744 billion parameters. We can talk about the scale as well, that you guys are beating in open source. Tell me about how the team kind of works around which benchmarks we're gonna try to hit. Is this a continual training of the model, and which is you watch performance and at some point you say, okay, this is enough? Tell me about what makes this model special.
Okay, Alex. So, you invited me here, but I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about coding benchmarks.
All right,
without carefully designed high difficulty benchmarks, it's getting harder and harder to tell the upper limits of a model just from simple task cases. So, in everyday scenarios, the differences aren't always obvious. For us, we're like the coding soda, I would say. Yeah, we really put a lot of effort on coding capabilities.
So you guys mentioned the switch from vibe coding to agentic engineering. I think Pete there from OpenClaw also talks about agentic engineering versus vibe coding. What in this model is focused on the agents, multiple back and forth conversations. Could you talk about this? I would love to hear from you, from an actual lab that releases these models, how the world into shifting to agentic engineering has impacted you and how you approached building this model with that in mind.
So I literally think like we step into the era of agentic engineering. Like from my own hands-on testing, GLM5 on an agent tasks really holds up. It handles like multi-step decomposition well, calls tool when needed, pushes tasks forward on its own. The overall task completion quality feels like it's getting real. And I've seen a lot of developers already shipping pretty complex coding workflows with it. So you define the process once, almost like an SOP, and the agent can execute it. Memory in interactions with agents, like AI starts to build a real understanding of your habit set. And over time, it feels like a tool you prompt and more like a system that you actually know how you work.
So a few follow-ups and we'll let you go because we know we're like mindful of your time at night. But I want to ask you about two things. I want to ask you about Vending Bench. Vending Bench is, for folks, just a refresher, Vending Bench is from Labs, I believe. They basically have this benchmark where it's a real world task. They give a model the chance to run a vending machine with access to restocking, etc. Let's talk about availability. Okay, so first of all, I can say we worked with you guys. GLM5 is now available on Weights and Biases. But also, I think obviously you guys have your own platform for a while, and you guys have been like serving multiple things. And plus, there's a coding tier as well.
Okay, so GLM5 was just launched yesterday. We're still on this rolling out thing, for coding plan users from Max to Pro. A few hours ago, we just opened for coding plan Pro users, but GLM actually performs really good as well, which shocked me a little bit because I often think that's our shortcomings, but it performs well. And I use slides function, this feature a lot.
Awesome.
So
Well,
yeah,
thank you, Lou. Thank you for coming and talking about the model as well. Folks absolutely can test out the model. It's available on Open Router from day zero on your own platform. There's a coding tier as well. $1 input and $3.20 output on Weights and Biases, folks. It's like almost nothing. We'll tell you guys how to get this for free. I'm going to bring back the co-host here. And Lou, if you are able to stay for one more question, I think Wolfram had a follow-up. But otherwise, we are going to definitely do some discussions about this model.
Yeah, I found it very interesting that you not just released a model, you also released the Terminal Bench 2 verified. So you went through the benchmark and improved it. Do you think that is the new one to use, or do you have any information about this? Because I found it notable.
Yeah, because for these benchmarks, some of my colleagues from my team come up with some idea. They go through some research and think, oh, we should do that. We should definitely do that and then see how we could evaluate the model further. So that's why we tested and it amazingly go well. It's actually like few months ago we started this kind of thing. And now we just see how it models outperforms in this bench. So we keep going. And, when we train model, we just put more effort, more attention on this.
All right, Lou, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking the questions. Vending Mesh is very, very interesting. We're going to continue talking about the model. We know it's fairly late for you there, so congratulations on the launch. Regards from our teams. We always applaud open source here on the show, so thank you so much for releasing the model for everybody to be able to use. Again, 744 billion parameters, not something that people can just use at their house. But still, the fact that open source is catching up to the frontier labs in this space is astonishing to see. And it's great to have you here on the show. Feel free to come back when you guys release more models as well. Meanwhile, but we're going to say bye-bye to Lou. Thank you for joining us. Folks, panel, what do we think? This is, first of all, a huge shout out to Lou for joining. It's 1 a.m., if you can believe it, in Shanghai. And she's joining despite everything. I don't know if I'm going to be able to live stream like this and get questions from Alex at 1 a.m. with the energy. But holy shit, GLM5. Nistan, would love to hear from you. You're back. Microphone works. Tell us, what do you think about GLM?
I made a fun animation of all the weights and stuff, and I find it pretty interesting now that they're using the DeepSeek architecture.
DSA stuff, right?
Yeah, but also overall, like the way that they shared experts and the way the gates switch between shared and not shared experts in the pool, it's mostly the DeepSeek still from the DeepSeek architecture. So this was the change that I found pretty interesting. I don't find it quite a Opus 4.5 still, but it is close enough and it's reliable enough that now is becoming like you might actually want to consider it for daily agentic use stuff if you have the repeatability part as a more important factor. If that does harm your work, you might actually want to consider this at this point. So it's getting pretty crazy how fast the catch up is happening.
And we have a bunch of offerings. Folks are posting in the show. Like we have Kimi 2.5 and then GLM and MiniMax 2.5 that just came out. Open source is catching up like super quick, especially for agentic stuff. Now, the kicker is we talk about comparison to Opus. On price performance, these models absolutely mug Opus in every possible way. Maybe not on speed, but definitely on price. All of these companies now come up with their own Max. I don't know if you saw, we're going to talk about MiniMax as well, but they have the Max plan or coding plan, and it's significantly cheap. It's like $300 a year or something versus $200 a month. So that's very interesting. The thing that I didn't get a chance to talk to Lou is that they train GLM on Huawei. So GLM is not trained on NVIDIA chips anymore. Like they trained on Huawei, and the GLM 5 series of models is not up on their coding plan yet because they're restricted in their ability to service with GPU. So despite the fact that they're training the model twice the size, let's actually walk through the numbers. It's still stressed for some GPU power. I would love to hear from any other of you for folks who use this model or read about this or comments that we want to talk about, specifically benches.
Well, real quick, I just want to say I love seeing the competition because what we want to happen here is for a really good open source model that can rival an Opus or a Codex for people to run OpenClaw locally, right? Because I'll say folks are starting to run some pretty heavy workflows with AntFarm, and it can get expensive, right?
Yep.
It's on a cron job. So let's go GLM 5. Like, I'm excited to see this.
Yeah, we should mention though, locally is a bit of misnomer here. Usually when we cover open source, we say like there's Quen model, Quen 3, 7 billion parameters, Mistral, whatever. These models are approaching whatever the big labs used to release a year ago in size. We don't know really, but like 744 billion parameters, you need some chunky hardware to run this locally, right? But I think that Ryan, you're absolutely right. People want to run multiple agentic processes going on while they sleep, but a lot of stuff is happening kind of behind the scenes and looping, and folks are at some point okay, maybe I don't need 4.6's intelligence for every task that I have. Maybe smaller tasks like documentation. Why would you need like super deep intelligence for documentation, for example? And maybe I don't want to send all my credentials to Anthropic. So there's definitely now choices in the open source for this. So we're going to run super quick through some of the evals, and then we're going to chat with Olive from MiniMax about the upgraded breaking news model for MiniMax 2.5. But I do want to like run through some of the evals because I think that they're important here. Humanities Last Exam, I think, is the biggest jump here, with 50% Humanities Last Exam beating with tools Anthropic's 4.5 and Gemini 3 Pro and GPT 5.2. They didn't measure on 5.3, it just came out. Just like differences across the board. The hallucination one, I'm very interested to see other open source models doing, like getting 34%, the lowest score on the AA hallucination rate is definitely impressive. Yam, would love to hear from you if any things from you on this model about the size, about the training scaling up from 23 parameters to 28.5 trillion parameters. What?
Bro, it's a model that can run general computer use close to being free. Like that. That's crazy. We used to talk about terminal bench and performance on coding and so on. Look what's going on GitHub. The vast majority of usage for these models at the point is probably not necessarily just code with everyone that is using them. So when you have a model that can run general computer use, that's basically the thing with OpenClaw and so on. Most of what people do with OpenClaw, except for extreme people on X, is general computer use day to day. Check my calendar, remind me what's going on over there. That's very useful. Everyone understand that's very useful on its own, and you don't need such a powerful model to do that. And I'm not saying that you got something that you can run locally. It depends who you are. Some people might, but for most people not. But the price, even for not running it locally, man, that's a completely game changer at this point. And yeah, I definitely did run it for code. It's an absolute great coding model. It's not just benchmark. I completely agree that we can talk about the benchmarks, but it's not just the benchmarks. It's just a good model for coding in real life. So
Yep.
Absolute great release, seriously.
So I would love to introduce Olive from MiniMax. Let's see if Olive is with us to the show. Welcome, Olive. How are you doing?
Hi, Alex. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you again. We met together, I think, was that in New York for AI Engineer, right? You gave a talk there.
Yeah. I think 2 months or 3 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 months ago.
I've been training this model since then, so I'm so excited about sharing.
Let's go. All right. I'm excited to talk to you about it. We have a special thing that we do when the breaking news happens during the show. And since the model just launched, we're going to do breaking news. AI breaking news coming at you only on Thursday. All right, the announcement that we have, and I'm gonna let Olive do the announcement herself, is that a new model has just dropped, and I think you are taking state of the art on open source on multiple benchmarks. Olive, how about you tell us about what just dropped?
Yeah, definitely. So we just launched MiniMax M2.5, right? It's the new version of our model. We had a lot of SOTA scores on the benchmarks, and as you can see on the blog, we're improving very fast.
I'm looking at SweetBench Verified, and this is absolutely the most breaking thing. SweetBench Verified is a difficult benchmark. Would love for you to talk about what it is to train a model that beats it, but 80.2% on SweetBench Verified, which is the harder version of SweetBench, versus even Opus 4.6. Is that Opus 4.6? That's like you guys are very, very close to?
So very close.
Yeah.
We're still scaling.
Yeah. I think the multiple things about MiniMax is that you guys are all around multimodal lab, right? It's not only like language models. You guys have been great at voice. I think for a longest time on the show, I've talked about, MiniMax voice as being one of the top voices that sounds the more natural as well. And then MiniMax, the LLM, has not, we featured this on the show, but I remember at some point you guys started scaling up super quick. So maybe can you start with the scale? You can talk to us about the scale of this model and the training size, etc. And then we're going to talk about some benchmarks more.
Sure, definitely. So for this version of the model, we achieved higher scores in coding benchmarks in a lot of benchmarks, searching and general tool use. And our model also excels in several professional settings, in workspace settings. It can use Excel very well and stuff like that. And then if we go into how we scaled it, I would say reinforcement learning. And that's the part that I spent most time in as well. So what we noticed was that with reinforcement learning, you can actually scale the model's capability to a very high performance, even with a smaller model, right? Because we can see that our model is not that large. It's only 10B active parameters, and it's very fast. And so people would doubt its intelligence for a very long time. But then we realized is that there's a lot of potential with a small model like this. Still a lot of potential if we train reinforcement learning on it, if we train it on very large amounts of environments and agents, right? But it's not a very, very easy thing to do, because scaling up the compute or scaling up the algorithm, scaling up the environment, scaling up the agents are all not very easy. So that's what we spend a lot of time in. That's, I think on the blog we do talked a little bit about our RL framework, which is called Forge. So we designed, what we designed was that it's very, I would say it's very decoupled and disentangled, so that you can actually train on every sample a different agent, a different strategy of training, so that, and they don't interrupt with each other during the training, right? So we have diverse tasks. It's not just, for example, bug fixing. There's like from 0 to 1, writing up a repo, or like the model working in a very complex environments with a lot of tools and different agents. So what we achieved was that during our training with our design and with our algorithm, we could, like, the samples don't interrupt with each other, and we could train it very smoothly. And we did a lot of work on that. And that's how we scaled the performance in many, many agents, because we could see that it's not only good in, for example, the very mainstream agent products is also good in multiple other environments. And that's what we care about, because people want to use the model in multiple products, in multiple environments, doing multiple different tasks. And that's how we achieved it.
Yeah, this is great. I have a few questions for you about specifically training and size as well. I think the highlight that comes to mind when you guys release a model like this, you get like around 57%, I think you guys quoted on M2.5 win rate at 15 cents per task versus Opus 4.6, which was like almost $3, $2.50, 15 cheaper. And I would love to understand, like, is this just the size, or what's the architecture that gets to this performance? I'm reading about 100 tokens per second for multiple things. Could you tell me about what's the architecture that lets you get this performance from this model?
Yeah, definitely. So our architecture didn't change from our M2 and M2.1, right? We share the same base model, including M2 HER. So it's still like 10 B active parameters with 200 parameters in total. So it's a very small model itself. And then I think a thing we cared a lot is just, as you said, the speed, right? The efficiency of the model, because that's what people care in coding scenarios or in developer scenarios or like co-working scenarios, right? So during our task optimization or like during our training, we took that as one of the top priorities. So we didn't only care about like the scores and stuff, right? What we took in our signals was the like end-to-end time of the task performing. Because you can see in 2.5 that the total time, it decreases from 2.1, right? And it's significantly in multiple tasks, including coding and search and stuff. It uses less tools, for example.
Yeah.
It thinks less, for example, and that matters a lot to users because that means less money and less time of waiting, I would say. So you can spend less time and less money on the task and then it performs good.
Yeah.
And we put that as one of the top priorities in reinforcement learning training.
Olive, one thing that we noticed on the show, would love to talk to you because like you're training these models, you're thinking about the verifier algorithms and how long it thinks for, right? So with around a year and a half ago, the whole reasoning paradigm, test time compute, etc., came to part, and everybody caught up super quick. And at some point, we noticed just like bloating of tokens in the thinking process to achieve the same goal. And now it looks like we're going through the process of like, hey, we want to get to the same goals while thinking less, but still thinking, but thinking less. Is this also that something that you guys are working on, like training, like getting? Is this part of the verifier score, for example, that you guys posted as well?
Definitely, because we look at the traces, right? The model sometimes is not very efficient in its thinking or tool calling. We will share more details in a blog that we will post later on our reinforcement learning training. But we noticed that the model itself wasn't that efficient, but we can still make it more efficient. It's not only the thinking tokens, it's also the tool calling behavior. For example, right, the model now knows how to use a spec, then it knows how to plan and achieve the task more efficiently.
I got you. Let me see the follow-up question that I had about the improvement rate. You guys have boasted about this and definitely worth like shouting out this graph. Do you have the improvement rate 3.5 months after October is successfully reached M1, M2, M2.1, and M2.5, and you're improving very, very fast. Can you attribute this to a single factor, or is it a mixture of all? Is this just a rail? Is this scaling up compute? Is this some combination of three? Where would you put the weight on top of how is this rate of performance happening? Because you guys are scaling up super quick, and it's incredible to see that you're also doing open source while you're doing this.
Yes, it's definitely a mixture of all, because we all know that data is very, very important, and then training is very, very important. Training speed is important, right? And then also one thing that people might forget sometimes, but is super important, is evaluation or task definition. So you can notice in our development of the model, we release several benchmarks each time. Is that defines how we think of the problem and how we actually evaluate the model's performance. And that's how we plan to proceed in the future. So it's a mixture of all, right? I would say all equal ways to all people in our team. So it's a mixture of all, definitely.
I want to follow up on the commitment to open source. Could you talk about this? This is very incredible because we're now, and we just talked with Lou from GLM folks as well. I love the camaraderie. I love the fact that their Twitter account went like this when you guys just released yours. I love the fact that the folks in open source is collaborating on and talking about their methods so that collectively we get better intelligence. Love that. So shout out to you and the team for open sourcing as well. about a specific commitment to open source. Could you talk about how you're thinking about open source, why open source, and whether or not you're going to continue releasing these models with open weights?
So as a researcher myself, I think open source for me is a very good way of communicating research stuff with the community and bridging the gap of research, how we imagine things or how we develop things, and how people actually use the model. With open source, there's a very large community that all people share their different ideas, share how they think of the future of artificial intelligence, how they think of how it will power productivity, for example. And then with the open source, we can actually keep all the advice and put that in our model, and we can iterate that fast. And let everyone be able to use the model to reflect back to the model and then prove the model to everyone.
I also noticed there's a M2.5 lighting, right? Is that something? I'm looking at the blog. I wanted to ask you about the kind of the two models and the differences, because the main model is fast enough. I think you have a very high speed tokens per second. Did you talk about the lighting version?
I think that is part of how we start. That's one type of API, I think. So on my end, it's just one model weights, but I think there are different,
Gotcha.
comment under minimax.io and then ask the question.
Yeah, many folks from different areas work on this model. Anybody's work or findings about when you trained the model that came to mind that you want to share with us? I know that for a while ago, there was this aha moment that people saw the model thing for the first time, and then like researchers like, okay, cool. You're now scaling. This is not the new model. This continued training, I'm assuming, and then at some point you guys, okay, this is good enough for a release. When I chatted with Lou from GLM, they released a new version, like a 5, right? You're releasing 2.5, which is not like 3. What in your mind makes a major release versus like a .5 or .3 update? Because you jump from 2 to 2.1 to 2.5, not quite yet at 3. What would it take for a model to be 3 in your eyes?
Okay, so internally, we usually update the first number of the version number just when the pre-trained base model is changed. For example, for our M3 model that will be released in the future, it will be a different base model. And then for 2.1 and 2.5, they are all sharing the M2 model. And what makes a major release is that when we see a very large increase in performance of the model, and we think that developers are going to benefit from it. And a funny story about this release is that as we're talking right now, the model is actually still training, and then the accuracy is still scaling, but we did decide to cut it now and then release the version so that people can use it, because a lot of people have been asking us when to release the model. So as long as we see a major improvement in a lot of areas, we see that the developers will be able to benefit from it, and then we release it.
That's great. I want to add Nistan here. He had the question about smaller models, and then we're going to let you go to continue training the model, but I appreciate your time with us. But Nistan, go ahead.
Yeah, so we see as you guys started with M1, which was about like 450 billion parameters, and now switched to a size that a lot of people find much more practical. I just wanted to know, because the open source community gets very excited about even tinier models. Are there any plans to like make distillations of this or release some other smaller ones now that you guys have one very good one, which is widely used by people?
Okay, very good question. I'm not sure. That's the answer. What I know now is that we will have experimental models internally for our experiments, and that's going to be smaller, but I'm not confident if we're going to release it or not. That's all the future stuff, right?
Okay.
But yeah.
You mentioned RHEL has a lot to do with how great the performance model compared to its size. Would love to give you the stage to talk more about your efforts, the stuff that you're releasing, what you're seeing, because I think I know you mentioned you're going to release it in the blog, but any tidbits, any insight, because RHEL is improving incredibly fast, like smaller models with less and less training data. Would love to hear your current thoughts about the paradigm of reinforcement learning generally and the advancements you guys had while training this model in learnings.
Right. So for our RL, the open source community might have seen the CISPO algorithm that we released last year while we were releasing M1. At that time, we solved the stable training algorithm, right? So as the reinforcement learning model trains in my collapse, and then what we resolved was that from the algorithm side, we want the model training to be stable in LLM training, right? That's what we solved last year. And then as long as we did some improvements on that side, what we realized was that what's important in RL is to train fast. So that's what we worked on this year, to make the RL framework to train very, very fast. And it has a lot of parts in it. You can see that in the later blog, the details, but we did a lot of things to let it speed up a lot so that we can train a lot of steps and then it iterates fast and stable with the algorithm.
So basically, scaling up the rollouts with RL is something that you're saying is very important. How important is the speed of inference to kind of like training with RL? Is that a factor as well? Like when you want to do just like a lot, is the speed of inference very important to this process?
It is definitely very important. And then I think in the agent era, right, inference is not the only part of the rollout, and people might, and there's, environment interacting and tool calling speed and like that. So one great thing about our framework is that it balances all very, very well, so that, okay, there's inference speed, there's tool calling and stuff like that. We can balance it so that it trains fast. It trains very fast.
Olive, there is one question, final question, and then we'll let you go, I promise. But like final question is, I was always wondering, we have a bunch of commenters, some of them are like deeply into RL and training and understand the concept we talk about. Many folks come to the show to just like understand what the hell it is we're talking about just in the world of AI, because it changes so fast. They just want to learn and they want kind of the lower version. Many are struggling with becoming AI native. What does it mean to become AI native? How much AI you use in your daily work? I gotta wonder and ask you with as much confidence that you can talk about, how AI native is a lab like yours? Like you guys are releasing models, you have multiple music and a bunch of models that you're working on. In your day-to-day, not you specifically, your day-to-day, the team's day-to-day, how AI native are you? Are you using MiniMax 2.1 to build the MiniMax 2.5? Like tell me about what's going on behind the scenes from an AI lab being an AI native lab.
Okay, definitely. So one of our teams, right? So one of our colleague, his daily job is to collaborate with multiple agents and then collect the feedbacks of the multiple agents and the work and then judge their work, treating them as interns and check their delivered work, put new things into the skill so that they're better. And then, using all the agents' powers to do more agent stuff. Very AI native. That's my answer.
Very AI native, yeah.
I still think that the current model is not perfect in everything. So I'm not talking about only M2.5, right? I'm talking about like all models in the wild. There are certain areas that they are still not good at, and for those teams, they're still not that AI native. But then I'm pretty sure that it will change in the future.
So tell me about maybe one such thing. What do you think the current crop of models, the current class of models is not good at yet? Okay. What do we need to improve?
One very easy example, our RL framework that I just talked about, is not like the AI native percentage is not that high. And we can see in multiple system cards and stuff like that, people test the current model's performance in doing reinforcement learning work or development, and they're still not that good. Yeah, that would be one very simple example.
Nice. So the model is still not good at replacing the creators of the model yet, but we're getting there. This is what I'm hearing from you.
Yes.
Olive, so first of all, folks, if you want to hear, Olive, you had a talk at AI Engineer. The other thing that I want to mention, Swix, who invited you to AI Engineer, they just launched a leaderboard with Windsurf. I don't know if they quite used MiniMax 2.5 yet. You guys just released it. But basically, they're focusing on fast but good enough crop of models. And fast but good enough is great because this is kind of the stuff you're talking about, right? Like it's not necessarily frontier level 4.6, etc. It's still very, very impressive how close you come to like the last iteration. Like to a week ago, Opuses, you guys come like very, very close. It's very, very impressive in the open source. But also this model is smaller than the Kimi 1 trillion parameter like crop of models, and this makes it fast. And for many people, the speed is like what's very important. So that benchmark is probably going to be owned by you guys at some point. So looking forward to seeing MiniMax 2.5 over there. Olive, anything else that I forgot to ask you, you want to mention, shout out people on the team, feel free. This is your time. And then we're going to continue with the show. Feel free to shout out anyone or tell us anything that I forgot to ask you.
Okay, shout out to the team of MiniMax and shout out to you all.
Awesome. Olive, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time, as well as if you train new models, please come back. We would love to hear from you what breakthroughs you do in RL as well. Cheers.
Okay, bye.
All right, folks. How about that? Back to back interviews with open source foundational training folks from inside the team on Thursday. I think, it's as if we had both OpenAI and Anthropic folks on the show, like last week. But no, like we're focusing on open source. Incredible chat with all. What do you guys think?
We could have probably gotten Crystal from the KMK2 team as well.
Yeah.
And then that would have been the whole trinity
of the Chinese open source right now.
Of the Chinese open source model.
Except DeepSeek,
Well,
which DeepSeek does not interview, no matter how much we tried.
And Quan. But we've had Quan quite a lot.
Yeah. Shout out to Quen. We're gonna mention Quen in a bit on the show. Folks, MiniMax 2.5. Compared to the size, I think the evals are absolutely bonkers. Wolf, you want to talk a little bit about like what they're posting there? Because I think it's like we absolutely need to talk about this.
We got SOTA with GLM 5, open source SOTA, and now it's basically already a new model. Like last week when Opus 4.6 came out, and an hour later we had GPT 5.3 Codex. Similar stuff is happening here. It's happening so fast. You get a new model, you think, wow, you are still running the evals, and then the next model comes out. So it's amazing. The price is also very interesting. While MiniMax is even cheaper than GLM 5, but even exceeded in SweBench, for instance. So this is very, very interesting. Also, it's the best timing for these kinds of models. Now that OpenClaw has happened, and we not only coders are interested in these models anymore, but the agentic stuff, basically everyone can now make use of it. And so this is the best timing, and the cost of intelligence has fallen once more. You get an intelligence level at a price level that has the acceleration. You can feel it here.
I don't see the size in my recap here, but it's 200 something, right? 235?
Yeah, 235 10B active.
10 billion parameter active, and it gets 80.2% on SweBench verified. Just absolute bonkers. Ryan, I know you don't use open source models and you use like the frontier ones. What are your thoughts about this? Because this model approaches like a Mac Studio level. Well, you can probably run this on like one or two, some quantization. You can actually run on actual home hardware completely on its own with the cost of just the investment in the beginning and electricity.
Right. And I think that's interesting. And that's where probably it'll matter for OpenClaw, where people really do want to run unlimited inference locally and own the agent. I do think we're in a new world where people are thinking about owning versus renting. And all of us are more attracted to owning, clearly. But if you're still using, a SOTA model from OpenAI or Anthropic, you're not really owning anything, are you? So I'm kind of waiting. It's like, but meanwhile, I'm like a lot of people, I'm just too damn busy to the model that I use needs to work now. So I'm happy to pay for the extra inference.
LDJ, welcome to the show. You've listened to the interview and you've seen this model release. Would love to hear your takes on how fast the open source is catching up behind Frontier. Because like we're literally a step behind. If 4.6 wasn't released last week, these models would beat some of the 4.5 results like significantly.
Yeah, it's definitely going really fast right now. I think they're doing amazing things, and not to put it down at all, but I do recall, at least for ZAI, there's some interviews before where they did talk about how very quickly after the training run's finished, they put models out, which I think is a pretty good thing usually for open source. But I think that might explain at least part of the closeness in the abilities compared to the frontier models, as of course, as we know, a lot of times the Western labs are having a lot longer time before they actually release the models after training, because safety training, and they do a lot of that more so. So when it comes to the customer perspective or the people actually using the models like us, what really matters is at a given time, what is actually publicly available, what can we use? And right now it's, at least for like a cost per intelligence basis, it's definitely competitive for a lot of use cases right now. And we already saw Communique 2.5 was topping the leaderboards for our most used OpenClaw model. If you go to OpenRouter and look at the stats for that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really interesting how that dynamic continues and what things end up using what models.
Yep. I want to highlight this graph that they added specifically for like the times of the releases. This is a SweBench verified score graph between Anthropic's Sonnet and Opus, OpenAI, MiniMax, and Gemini at Google. MiniMax 2.5 beats Gemini 3 Pro on this fairly hard agentic coding task. Gemini 3 Pro, we just celebrated Gemini 3 Pro not that much a while ago. There may be breaking news about that type of model. We'll see. But you guys see an open weights model beating the current state-of-the-art biggest model from Google. Obviously, benchmarks is not like everything. They don't tell you the full picture, and there's like benchmarking, but the speed of improvement with these folks is just absolutely incredible. LJ, I think this speaks to the fact that you're saying like the foundational model, the Western foundational model, they don't release model as fast. They sit on releases for a while, but it does look like you know, there is an advantage to the open source community folks to just shipping the models.
Yeah, for sure.
You wanna talk about some criticisms of models and drawbacks?
Yeah. So what I've heard from the community and stuff, I'm on week 3 of not using Cloud Code or any agent.
Nice.
So,
Are you feeling withdrawal? You feeling better? You look better.
Yeah, are you crying in the corner or what?
No, it looks healthier.
No,
The
I
vampire
still
let
use
go of him.
the website, but what I find from people is that they do accuse MiniMax of a bit of benchmaxing. And so what that means is because SW bench is just mostly Python, I think it's like 60% Python, you can train it to be very agentic in general, and then you can create a lot more similar problems or problems around the same types that the benchmark likes to check for. And it can do pretty well. It's not cheating because it is a very hard agentic task still, and it is very good at those types of questions. Normally when you train, you try to generate a lot of variety around those subjects, and you can get pretty good results from that. But at the end of the day, when I test these, the way that I'm testing them now, I just give them a very hard problem. I have a long distributed script for data stuff, and there's usually pretty hard small issues in it that you need a lot of nuance to understand. And I do still find Opus 4.6 to be the smartest when it comes to that. Like when there are really difficult problems where you need to understand the OS and the scheduling and why is this slow and what's going on, it is still, you still do want to use the best model for that. Now, on the other hand, what people need to also realize is that we're starting to use multiple agents simultaneously. So as long as you do have something, so now these are the praises for this model specifically, well, for the 2.1 version, that people found it very good at being able to call other agents as well and handling the work. So it is still smart enough to handle that type of work and offload that to other agents when you need to. And then you can also own your data this way, and you can choose what to share with the big labs and what not to. And I think that's the very important step which we're moving towards slowly. And because it's going to be multi-model, multi-agentic stuff. That's what people are going to do next. And this one is quite excellent for that, for the size and the speed, because you can actually realistically even run it on your own. You can buy something for $8,000, like a M3 Ultra, and I think it does like very good speeds, like over 80 tokens per second. So this is one that can actually do agentic work with small, low power, but expensive device.
Yeah,
so,
still expensive, but definitely owning your own stack, or for companies like us that can host this, we can now offer, you know, not quite Opus 4.6, but definitely Opus 4 and beating like level of intelligence at very, very cheap inference speeds as well. Cheap inference prices and fast inference speed, which I think is like very important to many folks as well. Folks, we've talked about open source a lot. Today, this week is definitely the open source kind of like highlight of the week in LLMs. I do want to switch topics a little bit, but before this, because we're more than an hour into the show, we're going to do this week's buzz super quick, and then we're going to move on and talk about big companies and exciting things and star bases on the moon and whatever. Be right back after this week's buzz. All right, folks, for this week's buzz, a corner where I talk about everything that happens in the world of weights and biases, I want to tell you that the new model, GLM 5, that just launched from ThursdAI, the 744 billion parameter model that you cannot run on your computer unless you have 7 H200s or whatever, is now live on the WNB Inference service. WNB Inference is a service powered by, you know, the best cloud around that serves companies as big as Microsoft and OpenAI, etc. So you can have some of that in as well. If you go to 1b.ai/inference, you can see the GLM is over here. You can see the GLM 5 is already there. We're working on adding Kimi K2.5, which is model, new release MiniMax 2.5 as well. With that said, if you want a little bit of inference, we just on our X account, our main X account, x.com/1b, which is very easy to remember, by the way, we post about this model. If you go there and you reply with a reply charging pony, we'll give you a little bit of credits. Maybe not a little bit, maybe a lot of it. These models are fairly cheap, so you're going to get a lot for your inference credits. Try out these models, try out our inference service. You can plug this into Cloud Code, you can plug this into OpenClaw, you can plug this pretty much everywhere. And so if you're running multiple agentic scenarios and they're running overnight and you don't want to spend that much money on different foundational labs, definitely check out our inference service at 1b.ai/inference. This has been this week's Buzz, and now I want to talk to you guys about some big company drama, specifically xAI, because it's already Thursday, February 12th, and Grok 4.2 or 420 or whatever is nowhere to be found. We've been waiting for that model for a bit, apparently super coding agentic. And then suddenly, like flies, multiple folks, including co-founders of xAI, decided to post on X and saying, hey, it's been a great time. Thank you, Elon, blah, 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 but I'm no longer there. And then xAI released a all hands with Elon and a bunch of like heads of the new company that they've restructured into multiple buckets there. And this restructuring happened after the crazy scale up that they had, obviously, and the acquisition by SpaceX. So it's kind of like Elon Musk goes like this with Elon Musk and approves the acquisition, kind of like, yeah. So now xAI is part of SpaceX, and a bunch of folks are no longer there. But the details that they've shared in that all hands are just fucking mind-blowing. They have the biggest training cluster in the world with Memphis, 300,000 GPUs. It's just like insane numbers. They're talking about like putting GPUs in space. What are you guys hearing? What are your thoughts on this? What the fuck is happening with xAI is basically my question to the panel.
Yeah, so it was confirmed that a lot of management restructuring and management changes ended up happening with the SpaceX acquisition of xAI. It seems like that might have played a big role there in a lot of the decisions of some of the co-founders and team to leave. But also when it comes to the more technical aspect and a roadmap aspect of what they announced in the all hands and everything, what really stuck out to me and the most interesting thing, I don't know if you guys saw, but they were talking about having coding models and having this research direction of just having the models directly develop the binary and generate binary for the computers themselves and the chips, as opposed to having all these layers of abstraction, whether that's in Python or C or kernel level. And yeah, I think very long term, at least, I don't know how realistic that will be very short term, but that does seem kind of like a natural endpoint when we look at really long timescales.
Yep. Ryan, any comments on xAI and the team structures and whether or not you're using any of the models?
I still don't use Grok for any production stuff. But interestingly enough, X did just release pay-per-use on their API.
Yes.
And I know, and it's interesting because I'm seeing a lot of people, including myself, who are happy to do pay-per-use now on the X API because there's a lot of interesting things to do. But now you have like X, SpaceX, xAI, it's all the same thing. And then Elon, goes on the cheeky pint and talks about how he's, launching data centers in space. And all of it makes sense. You're like, I get it. Like, yeah, go to where it's always sunny, go to where you don't need any electricity infrastructure to power the GPUs, go where it's really cold. So you don't have to, worry about heat as much. These things all make sense. But then, none of us, I don't know anyone who's using Grok for prod. It's just, okay, you are. I know one guy. So
here's and some folks in comments wanted like real life advice on what models to use. I use Grok for research, specifically X research. So you mentioned the X API. X API is now pay per whatever. It's really expensive still to do like a lot of research. If you go through Grok, and I mentioned this on the show multiple times, Grok itself has API access to X. And if you use XAI's API, it's confusing, I know, but X and XAI are two different companies still. XAPI and XAI API are different things. XAI API is like OpenAI API, LLM completions, right, with tool use. That tool use has access to X better than you, faster than you, significantly more performant than you. That can perform researches on X like nobody's business. Most of the show that I bring to you guys every week, the detailed notes that I send you guys behind the scenes, all of that is researched on X with API via API. Like I've been using this for a while. It's an incredible unlock to know everything that's going on. It can find the smallest comments from the researchers from different labs very cheap, not something you'd be able to do with the X API. So I do use it. I don't use it for intelligence necessarily, but it is intelligent research, right? So like it does happen in those cases. Do not use it for code. And I think the reason why they didn't launch Grok 420 is because it's nowhere near the state of the art like foundational models. They promised to bring it, but they didn't. They restructured the company now to 4 buckets. One of them is LLM and voice. Another one is coding. They have a specific part of the company now in coding. And then they have another one called macro hard, which is the data centers, which is really funny. I think the space stuff is, just like propping up before the SpaceX IPO. I don't know, but like that's how it seems to me.
And I'll say, did anybody notice that SpaceX changed their mission? So now it's not Mars, it's the moon.
Yes,
which is kind of cool. It's like, okay, we'll see faster iteration.
Hopefully.
So it's a fun time to be live. I think the thing that I want to talk about, which is the meta around all of this, is related to Matt Schumer's post.
Oh yeah.
Like around, what it feels like the acceleration, but yet it's just a very strange time.
Can we shout out Matt Schumer so people what post? Because there is, believe it or not, people who haven't seen this.
So I started seeing this in the feed. I'm like, oh yeah, Matt, cool. We all know him. I think the AI world is still pretty small on X, and you kind of know everybody. And I saw it, I'm like, holy shit, like it got a bunch of views. And then the next time I look at it, it was like at 20 million, and now it's at 74 million, which is probably the largest article of all time.
Probably.
But then as soon as this happened, I think this all happened, we got our normie friends texting us about this article. So I had this conversation with an attorney friend of mine. Listen to this, and he might be listening. I'm not going to say your name because you're a buddy, and he's super smart, but he does represent a person that's outside of our sphere. He's like, hey, I went into ChatGPT and I told it to make me an app, and it didn't work. And it was interesting to hear like the disconnect between, okay, well, the reality is, yeah, you should have used Codex. Like you can't tell ChatGPT to make you an app. I mean, you can, but so there's this weird disconnect we're all feeling. And on top of that, you kind of have to pick which horse you're going to ride. Like I can't stay always with one foot in the camp of Anthropic, one in Gemini, put another hand over here on OpenAI. Like at some point you got to pick your stack.
Yep.
And then orchestrate that stack. And literally as of today, like I might be moving to Claude Code, like because it's got agent team, native infrastructure now. But then it's like, all right, I got to build all that orchestration, and it's kind of exhausting.
It is exhausting. So I want to talk about this. And I think that the Matt Schumer, shout out to Matt, by the way, incredible ability to communicate with what everybody who listens to ThursdAI probably already knows. The speed with which we're moving towards something incredible is scary. And for many people, the speed itself is scary. I want to read an outline, a small piece of the article. It's very long. In 2022, AI couldn't do basic arithmetic reliably. He would confidently tell you that 7 times 8 is 54. By 2023, it could pass the bar exam. By 2024, it could write working software, explain graduate level science. By 2025, some of the best engineers in the world said they had handed over most of their coding work to AI. And February 5th, 2026, new models arrived that made everything before them feel like a different era. February 5th was a week ago. This is the show that we had here, and we talked to you about Opus 4.6 and GPT 5.3 Codex. And both these releases absolutely shatters how we think about software. And we've been AI native for a while. We've been telling you to be AI native for a while, right? And so paired together with AI assistants like OpenClaw and different agentic things, people that have no business in writing or creating software because it wasn't possible for them right now can absolutely do so. Ryan's point is absolutely correct. Many people go to ChatGPT because this is what they know. They type a prompt and nothing happens to them. Like, oh, okay. But then we're seeing plumbers operating their business with OpenClaw now, and we're seeing agentic software making that has 0 bugs in one shot after like 2 minutes, and you get a full incredible thing. Plus, the guy who left XAI, Jimmy Ba, one of the co-founders, I think he's you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's like co-author of Adam. Jimmy is like highest age-cited person there at XAI. He said recursive self-improving is coming this year. Recursive self-improving is when the models use the models to build the models. We told you about this in Codex 5.3. We told you about this in Cloud Code, where everybody in Opus, everybody in Anthropic probably have a way faster Opus and way cheaper free Opus because they work there, but also probably significantly longer context. They all use this software to build the software. We're looking at this loop that's coming. For many normies, for many people who don't follow us, for folks who are not listening to the show, you can send them our show as well. You can send them Matt's article. They have no idea what's coming. And because they have no idea what's coming, it's easy for them to brush off like, okay, fine, AI still hallucinates, blah, 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 blah. Coding is the way to generalize everything. This is what we've been feeling since forever, but definitely since December and since like the last February models, this clicked for many of us. Coding is the way towards generality for many of these agents. If it can code, it can do stuff. It can run your browser with code, etc. Some thoughts there in Matt's article. Ryan, go ahead.
So I put a link in the show notes. If you could pull it up really quick. I think this article is important, and everybody watching this or listening to this should read this. This was a post called Harness Engineering, Leveraging Codex in an Agent First World, and it was written by Ryan Lopolo. This is a case study about how people are actually using an agentic engineering solution in the real world, right? The TLDR is that it's really hard. Right. Some of this is still hype. Like, yeah, I set up OpenClaw and I have a company that runs itself. No, you don't. Like, that's not happening in the real world for real people.
Yeah.
But people are beginning to actually, from end to end, having 0 humans involved in the writing or reading or reviewing or shipping of code. It's starting to happen. And this article is a good summary of how that actually works and how hard it is to actually get it working. So, but this will become the playbook for every company who's writing code in the next 12 months.
All right, time to switch gears. Definitely read Matt's article. I'm going to add this in the show notes. Send it to your friends who don't feel the acceleration is you, and then send them a link to ThursdAI, because one of the things that I love the most that Matt talked about at the end is like, hey, what can we say by the time singularity comes? Is like knowing what the tools are, using them, it gives you a competitive advantage. This is why we're here on the show every week. Folks, coming up on 3 years, March 14th, 2023 is when we started ThursdAI, and we're coming up on 3 years in 2 shows or something. That's going to be crazy. And the amount of acceleration we saw since then is just fucking mind-blowing to me. Let's talk about breaking news that we have. Let's go. AI breaking news coming at you only on ThursdAI. All right, I'm Peleg.
All right, so Google drops Gemini 3, a deep thinking significant upgrade to deep thinking. Basically, a state-of-the-art on Arc AGI 2, to the best of my knowledge, and 48.4% on humanity's last exam. Real this time, real for last exam for real. I'm joking. 48.4% without any tool.
Oh, wow. With no tools. This is crazy.
Look, I want to say there are a couple of different classes of models, the way I see it. Gemini 3 Deep Think, as well as GPT 5.2, I think, Pro is the one that we get access to. These are on a class of their own. They're pretty niche. They take a lot of time when they do their stuff. Also Grok Super Heavy, I think it's Grok Heavy.
Yeah, Grok Heavy.
Yeah, those that take quite a little while when you ask them stuff. They are for extremely hard tasks. They're not iterative, you can say, like send and forget, and you get like, look, you can steer Pro while it works, but generally this is a very special type of models. I use them all the time, both DeepThink and Pro, and they are extremely useful. And it's amazing to see the frontier being pushed again. Every week we get several state-of-the-art models on something. at this point. Like every week we get multiple models, and some of them open source, some of them closed source, and like everything is just accelerating to
I
a point
want to
you
pause
can.
you for 1 sec because RKGI 84% is insane. The highest score before this is 68 from Opus 4.6, which you know is an incredible model. GPT is still not tested on this, but 5.2 is 52. Let me just put this up on the screen, folks. The jump in RKGI, what the fuck just happened? What?
Can I show you something?
Yeah.
Show you this.
So now this is the new. I'm getting tired. Is this the new Sora now? Basically, yeah. You want to zoom in here? Yes.
We are
Yeah.
tired.
So just recently, it was just in these, I don't know, when was it? I don't know if it was 3 days ago or 3 weeks ago that Opus 4.6 dropped. It
Week. It was 1 week.
ago.
It was 1 week ago.
So 1 week ago, Opus 4.6 dropped, and that was already a significant jump in the state of the art for RKGI 2. And hopefully they listed on this graph.
Yes, it is. The red
it's right
ones
there.
in the middle, yeah.
But now Gemini 3 DeepThink is like another significant jump even beyond that, just a week later. Yeah, this is huge and exciting progress, and maybe RKGI 3 is going to be saturated by the time it comes out.
And we need to have humanity's for real last exam. Humanity last exam.
Gotta stop letting Alex wank.
At some point, the billions of dollars that Zuck is spending on that lab needs to do something. I think they're preparing, I think it's called Avocado or something.
Yes.
But yeah, we're waiting for this. While we're waiting, in the middle of breaking news, all right, folks, this one is for real. Ryan, you go. This is you, buddy.
Y'all, I just happened to be browsing X as we're doing the show, and what do you know? We've got GPT 5.3 Codex Spark. It came out 2 minutes ago, so I'll read a little bit from the release. Yeah, I need glasses like you. It says, today we're releasing a research preview of GPT 5.3 Codex Spark, a smaller version of GPT 5.3 Codex, and our first model designed for real-time coding. Codex Spark marks the first milestone in our partnership with Cerebras. So get ready for
shit.
Here we go.
We talked to you about this. Let's go.
It says research preview to ChatGPT Pro users. Have fun, y'all. Let us know what you think.
I have to renew my subscription.
But no, we're getting the Cerebras thing. And apparently, this one is supposed to be live for Pro users in the Codex app, CLI and IDE extension.
I think so.
Oh, I have an update on the Codex app. So I'm hitting the update button. I want to see. Cerebras is a LPU company. We talked about Cerebras multiple times. They have connected with OpenAI to deliver these intelligences at like incredible speed. Yeah, I don't have it yet. I only have 5.3 Codex.
Yeah, I've just got 5.3 Codex.
Come on, guys. I want it, but we don't have it. So we're going to continue with the show. Meanwhile, we're going to try behind the scenes to see if we're going to get the update, and then we're going to try. Because the insane speed of Cerebras is definitely something. Meanwhile, speaking of insane speed, and folks asked us about our opinions. Do you guys remember Voxtrol, where we talked about Mistral's transcription service? I switched OpenClaw to Voxtrol, and the responses, I can show this off. I think this is the demo that I can show. Hopefully my little bot will not expose some personal details.
I think they also run on Cerebras, by the way.
Hey bot, you're live on ThursdAI, and folks are looking at how fast you can transcribe things. So I'm going to talk really fast. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with Weights and Biases. With me, Wolfram Raven, with Ryan Carson, Jan Pelig, LDJ, and Niston, and we're live on ThursdAI. With all that said, I want you to transcribe everything that I say and put it in the chat. Send. So my bot just saw it, okay? We're gonna, and it's already started typing. So the transcription, I think, went through, and now it's just like Opus 4.6 doing its work. Do you guys see this? It's already responded. It transcribed and responded. This was like insane. You said you're live on ThursdAI with Ryan Carson, John Pelling, sorry, LDJ, and Nistan.
Thank you.
You have to transcribe everything you say, yes. When you talk to your bots, Voxtrol is like absolutely amazing. Shout out, we told you about Voxtrol, we tested it out, but now it's like actually built in. I did not do anything to build it. All right, I think it's time to continue with the show. What else do we have? So we just mentioned the deep. I'm still hung up on this, on both of the releases. The first part of the show, we had 2 incredible open source models. Now we're having spike in intelligence with 84 in AGI. Yeah, your glasses are absolutely correct right now. And then OpenAI releases a version of 5.3 Codex that's stupid fast. And all I can think about is stop talking, Alex. Go try to find whether or not you have this model. I don't have it yet.
Me too. Still.
You know. Guys, isn't it crazy I don't think people outside our bubble realize just how nuts it is that we get like much higher intelligence and then we get much higher speed. And like, we want more. We can use more. Like, we can just use a lot more.
Bro, I can definitely use more.
Cheaper.
Definitely
Yes.
use more.
I think
there
maybe-
is
Want to
no
run it all the
shortage
time.
of demand for this. Even if you do like what I have to do for work for open source models, like I need more GPUs. I have to use like every single skill and stuff from hacking and from Linux and from networking just to like get the hardware and then run it. And there's just not enough. Like you could use like 2 orders of magnitude more.
Let's talk about this for a little bit, just super quick, because I got very viral with one post of mine that I didn't expect to go viral that talks about like folks not being able to sleep. I also, there's an article from Steve Yeager from Gastown, which we haven't covered Gastown yet, but there's a whole crop of insanity happening over there at Steve Yeager's Gastown. A whole crop of AI like psychosis. We did talk to you about the AI psychosis, but now what happens is many folks, including myself, I can report from my own personal thing, and I meditate every day, folks, and still this happens to me. It's hard to go to sleep because I don't know if my agents are getting used to the maximum potential. It's hard to go to sleep, or I don't know if like the army of things that I have going on. I usually have like 1 or 2 agents running, doing things overnight in a loop. I have a task board, whatever. I have an AI employee basically doing work overnight. For me, it's hard for me to go to sleep because I'm like, if I don't tell this thing exactly what I need and how it's going to look in the morning, it's not going to work. It's going to fail on waiting on me. Correct. Is this your experience as well? Is it hard to fall asleep? What's going on?
Agents and cost is growing hard on me.
Yeah.
Really growing on me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think everyone in the field is working as hard as they possibly can over the past couple of weeks.
Is the whole point
Everyone.
of this to work less? Tell me, like, what the fuck are we doing? Isn't the whole point of this so that I can like chill on my couch, smoke hookah? By the way, I stopped smoking hookah, no hookah anymore. But like, just do something else while the agents work. Isn't this the whole point?
I think the point of it is to enable the choice and unlocking those new possibilities of, hey, now you could get the same amount of work done while working less if you wanted to. But there's also this other option of you can still continue working the same amount of hours per day, but now get way more insanely more amount of things done in the day.
I think that everyone in the field, because it's not consolidated and there's no one choice and everyone is still exploring, I think at this point, everyone is optimizing their own framework and everyone is trying to get their own framework off the ground as hard as possible to get as much automation. It's not necessarily that you use all of it, you use it for whatever you want, but a lot of the effort is still in the looping and in making the thing better. So you can use other things. So you can use it for other things. And I think this is what most people are doing at the moment because everyone sees the potential.
Exactly.
Ryan, tell me.
So yeah, we're all feeling it.
How's your sleep?
Not good. I honestly, seriously, not good. Like I typically wake up at 2 a.m. now, and I it's not good. So we're all dealing with it. I think what Yam said is very true. The primitives don't exist yet to manage teams of agents. We have kludgy auth. We have environment sort of rot. We have orchestration problems. Like, it's like we have a tool, but there's no toolbox. I think that's why everyone's stressed out, because you could run agents 24/7, 365, but it's still kind of hard. That's why I built Ant Farm. And the truth, and it's open source and free. It's not something I'm trying to make money on. But the truth is, it doesn't solve it either. Like, there's still all these problems with orchestration. And this is what FOMO is. Like, this is why FOMO is one of the most powerful human emotions, like fear of missing out. Everyone is afraid, like, oh, someone else is running agents 24/7. And I'm not, therefore I'm missing out. Right. And so you can't sit on the couch and smoke a hookah. And that's a very human thing. And well, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. This is why I was trying to point out we should all try to calm ourselves down and realize, okay, no one's running agents 24/7 and actually doing productive work. They may be running small teams of agents, to build real apps, but we're just not there yet. So, but it doesn't help. I'm sure I'm going to wake up at 2 a.m. tomorrow.
It's all of the acceleration. We always talk about accelerate, but now every moment an agent is not running, you think you are losing time, you are wasting time because it could be doing something for you. And Personally, I also think about when I'm sleeping, what is my agent doing? And is it maybe doing something, especially if it's something like OpenClaw, where it has so many access surfaces and so many information? I'm also thinking, should I shut it down if I'm not giving it a task to make sure that it's not doing anything it shouldn't be doing, or getting any input it shouldn't? Like if it's doing research, it gets me my morning brief, and it could get prompt injected while doing a web search, for instance. So that is one reason why you should use one of the best models and not try to save money by using a cheaper model for something like that. It's just web search, but it is an attack surface as well. So sometimes I think about, shouldn't I shut it down and turn it on when I see what it's doing?
All right, folks, I think we all feel this. And I think some of the listeners of the show feel this as well. I think that like prioritizing sleep is very, very important. To me, this whole endeavor is working still, but working less. This is the whole point. But, you know, we shall see. I think I want to move on because there's a few things that we haven't covered yet. And I think the highlight for me this week was something entirely else that also brings it to just like, what the fuck is happening in this world? And I think I just got access finally. So we're going to try this in real life. We're moving on towards...
to help solve your sleeping problem.
No, I didn't get access to 5.3. I got access to somebody else. 5.3, the Turbo, Nitro, whatever they call it, Spark. I didn't get access to Spark. But folks, earlier this week, our whole feeds, I think we talked to you about this before, our whole feeds were full of new type of videos generated by AI. These videos are generated with ByteDance's Seedance 2. Seedance 2 is a new version of Seedance, 15-second high-quality multi-shot output. We had multi-shot before, but the thing that makes Seedance absolutely different is there's like multiple things. It can get 9 images as reference. It can get 3 video clips as reference. It can get 3 audio clips as reference, and then plus instructions. So you can direct this model with audio and video with director level control. And the sum of the videos that are posted, they feel like the jump from when we were before Sora, and then we saw Sora for the first time. We didn't get it for like 9 months. Just absolute mind-bending level of realism in this app. Also, ByteDance absolutely scraped all of Hollywood, all of Netflix, all of YouTube, all of ByteDance. It's really like the amount of policy violations in this thing is wild. So I'm going to show a clip that I did back when I needed to use the VPN. But folks, like Seedance just launched and it's available here on Byte Plus platform. This is a video that I generated. I need to reshare this because you guys need to hear this, because multi-channel stereo sound is also included in this model. We barely got to sound this year with like VO 3.1, and now this model probably like absolutely beats VO, does full sound. This is a very short clip. My first generation here that I asked Spider-Man doing backflips. This clip looks exactly like the video game Spider-Man with music and everything. I want to show you the actual videos that they have here. And folks who are just listening on the show, this is the place where you should tune in, because this is just I don't know how else to describe this. Yamus taking off the glasses too early, I think, is how I would describe this. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Let's take a look at some of these videos, folks. Let's take a look together. Multi-shot, consistent videos with physics, just mind-blowing quality of physics. If you guys
like balance
and conversation, lip sync and talking and music, jumps, synchronized motion. There's just so much here that's new.
It's amazing.
That it's hard to describe what is so amazing about this. The things that they show here, like audio visual experiences and the multi-shot and the camera movements. This is a shot from outside of the window of a pizza shop, and dude is preparing pizza. There is just everything. The sound of him taking the spatula through the pizza. The sound of him like patting on the pizza box.
Really good, but I'm a bit disappointed that the pizza guy didn't cut the slices before he put it in the box.
Bro. Some people want a full pizza. What do you mean? Yeah, I've seen some examples. So here's an example of a video reference, right? They take pictures of some video game characters and they take a video reference of, I actually don't know if it's like actual people fighting or they also generated them as well with the green reference. Like it looks like reference, and they make a video game. They literally just make a video game. The video references, I think, the video reference part is absolutely wild. Look at this beautiful anime style.
Yeah, this is insane.
The thing about video models before this, even good ones like VO 3.1, is that the face changes from one frame to another. So multi-shot is like very easy to tell. Seedance apparently, and I saw this only today, has a internal test mode that we can get access to of 45 seconds. 45 seconds, one shot.
Play with this, Alex? Access?
Yes.
All right.
So on Byte Plus, they just upload this Seedance 0.2, but we should mention a few more things from the TLDR. Right, folks, I think it's time for us to end this plane. 2 hours in, we had, let me just recap super quick. We had an insane week, and it looks like insaner still because Thursday was the moment for all the major labs to drop their things. We had both Lou from TLDR and Olive from MiniMax here to talk about how the open source labs are doing it with RL and scaling. Both of them launched incredible models that you can get access to on WB Inference today. And then we were sitting here talking about XAI when breaking news dropped from Google that the new Deep Think version of their model is now state of the art on RKGI with an insane jump to 86% or some crazy stuff like this. And humanity's last exam with no tools is absolutely beating everything else. Meanwhile, OpenAI decided to not be left behind and released GPT 5.3 Codex Spark. It's taking a long time to even say the names of these models, but the Spark model is supposedly a different version of 5.3 that runs on Cerebras with super fast inference. And we're trying to scramble to actually like vibe test this model for you and see, but like we know for a fact that like speed is very important. And then we ended the show with Seedance. These weeks, they're not getting smaller, they're not getting acceleration is absolutely here. So with this being said, everybody of you who tuned into ThursdAI, we just crossed 2,000 folks. Welcome to the world of acceleration if you're new. If you're not new here, you've been with us for a while, you know that, you know, it's accelerating, but we're here to test it out, to talk about this, to give you tips on how to use this in your real life, like with Voxroll. And we're here every week. And if you missed any part of the show is getting turned into a newsletter and a podcast. I really try to write the newsletter myself with no AI slop. So this takes a while, the newsletter and the podcast, so that you'd be able to get all the links from the show, everything we've talked about, and the opinions and testing out some stuff. So with that, thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan Carson. Thank you, Jan Pelix. Thank you, LDJ, Wolfram and Niston, Lou and Olive that joined us, and everybody here in the audience who helped bring us breaking news, to help tell us like some feedback. I appreciate all of you. Let's go to be AI native. Get some sleep, folks. It's really important for your health. The agents are not going to go anywhere. If anything, they're going to be better. So like you'll have to learn less as the more we kind of progress. So everything's going to be fine. With that, thank you so much, folks. We'll see you here next week. Bye-bye. Go play with the new models.
See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.